Hi everyone, so what I'm going to do in this tutorial is to quickly explain to you how to create a separate layer for hatching and then do a polyline around a curve. Now what I want to do is first start this drawing by actually creating different layers for myself. So I'm going to go to the options tool. I'm drawing in TurboCAD version 16. Go to the options tool, click on the layers option, and then you'll see I have no layers except for the normal constructions layer that usually is there by default. So I'm going to go and click on new, and then it creates this layer -1, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change that now to my answers layer. And I'm going to leave it at black as a color for the line. I'm going to use the style of the line as a a dark continuous line, and the width of this line I'm going to change to 0.5 because in all my CAD drawings I use a 0.5 for the thickness of the line, because when I print out on an A3 page or an A4 page, that line is distinctive and you will not always see it as clear on your CAD screen, but when you print it out on paper you can clearly see that the 0.5mm line is going to be a little bit thicker and more prominent amongst all your other lines. Now I don't want to just create the answers layer, I also want to now demonstrate how to create a polyline around a curve. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new layer and change that now to the hatching layer, because I want to do a hatching on top of my answer, and then I want to do that on its own layer. I'm going to make the hatching in red. That's just the practice that I use. Leave it as a continuous line, and I'm making sure that the width is still at 0. So now I have the layers that I need for this tutorial. So I'm going to click on OK and work on my workspace. So what I have here is now a blank screen. What I want to do is select a line, and I'm going to just draw a couple of random lines to create a basic design. But first, to do that, I want to go to my answers layer. Now on the far right you will see I have all my snaps, and I've got the vertex, the middle point, the intersection, and then the magnetic point active. For this purpose, if you want to show the grid of your CAD interface, you just click on this button at the top. If you hover over it, just show or hide the grid, and then you can see the grid. If I click on it again, it will hide the grid. So I'm just going to use the grid for the moment to work on specific points, and therefore I'm going to use my snaps to snap to the grid as well. And what I do is I'm just going to start to draw a random line just to make sure that I have some idea of the curve. So now I've just drawn a corner. Let's just draw a base first over here, and I'm going to go up, say, to there. And now I'm going to go to the toolbars on the left, and then I have an arc and center radius. So what I'm going to do is select that because I just want to draw an arc. So I'm going to go now to this point here and click and drag to the top of that line. So the center point is where my mouse is now. I'm going to use that height as an arc radius. And then I just want to go and draw, I went to the wrong side. So now what you do is to fix this, you just right click and cancel, or you could have just pressed escape on your keyboard. So I'm going to do this again. Make sure the arc tool is selected, click on the grid, then to the radius that I want, and now I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. Okay, with the previous example I went the wrong way. Now you can see I had to go anti-clockwise to get that curve to this side. And once I'm confident and happy that that snap is where it's supposed to, and remember, as with my other videos, I say zoom in and out with TurboCAD or any other CAD program regularly. A good draftsman will make sure, even though that the snaps are active, that you actually are in fact snapping to the right points. Good, so I'm going to snap there or click there, and then it's snapped to that point. Now I can create another arc if I like, or I could just go and draw or extend this line that I have here. To do that, to just extend the straight line, I go to this line length tool that's over here on the left of my icons, If you click and hold it, you'll see you have lots of other options. I'm going to just click on the line length, and then I'm going to click on the end of the line that I want to lengthen. So if I were to go from the half to the left, I would have then lengthened the left of this line, which I don't want to do. I want to go to the right. Therefore, I have to go to the right side of the line and then click and drag that to the snap where I want it to go. So now I have my answers layer. Let's say that was the model that I had to design. Now I want to create a cut on this model. So let's say I've cut this thing through the middle now, and this whole surface will become a hatched layer, or in other words, a surface that's being cut. So to do that, I'm going to go and use my polyline. Now that is again by the lines option here on the far left, and then if you hover over the polyline tool, you can see there's lots of other options, but I want the polyline. Select that, but now I'm still on the answers layer, so what I need to do is click on the drop down of the answers, the layers block, and then select the hatching layer which I have created. Now here it is very important that I teach my students in class, when you want to start hatching and you're using a polyline, always remember where you started. So start as a good practice from one particular point and stick to that throughout all your drawings, if possible. It's not always possible, but wherever possible. So I like to start at the bottom left, because I know then in all my drawings I will be starting at the bottom left, and I will work my way around on the edge of my model that I want to hatch, and then I can end at the same point where I started. That is very important. So I'm going to start at the bottom left. Click on it, and I see something that I have forgotten. I have to change the color of the line, because yes, I have created red as the line color for my hatching, but it has not been defined here in the colors option. So you can do that several ways. You can either go to click on this button that says by layer, then it will create the default as you have set up in your layers option when you created the different layers. Or you can just select the color that you want your layer to be. This is an override that you can apply even if you have allocated certain colors and features to a line or layer in your options toolbox. Good, so I'm going to just click on the red color here. And then I'm going to click on the corner and carry on. This is still easy because the polyline is straight. So that creates for me a straight line. But now what happens here? If I want to go to this option here, it doesn't allow me to run around the curve. So what do I need to do? Well, on your screen at the bottom, you will see there are some options here that is now being activated when you selected the polyline tool. And the one that I want is this arc segment option. So I'm going to click on that once. And once I've done that, it will allow me to use the curve of a polyline. But now the polyline is not snapping or going in the direction as I want, no matter what I do. So there are more options now also being activated here. And you can either go one step back, you can change the direction, or you can find the center of that arc, whichever you like. So let's just see what happens if I select the change direction option, and now it does this, but it doesn't really give me the result that I want. So what I'm going to do is just press escape once, and then I am going to go and do the polyline again. Oops, yeah, I still have the curve active, so I'm going to go and change it to the straight option at the bottom. Follow the curve, get to there. Now again, click on this part here that allows you to change the straight line to a curved line. And then we're going to go to this last option that we spoke about, which is to go to the center. And to do that, I'm just going to hover my mouse, as you can see, over the center point of this arc, which I know is this one here. Now I will also recommend that you rather use center lines when you are drawing an arc, then it will be easier to snap to this. So I'm a bit naughty here. I have only used the grid now. I didn't create center lines. But for the time being, let's just use this. I'm going to snap to the center, and now it allows me to move this arc along that edge as far as I want. So I can go all around, or I can just stop here at the end where I am. And then if I'm happy, and if I zoomed in and made sure I've snapped it, do you see that little diamond, pink diamond that's appearing there? That is to show that it's actively snapping to that point. Click on it once, but now I want to go straight and it still has this curve. So what do? So I'm going to zoom out, and please remember here at the top, this is the zoom extents button in the title bar, and I'm going to click on it once, and that will just enlarge my screen and show me everything on the screen. So now to change this arc, I want to go back to these buttons at the bottom, and I'm going to select the straight line polyline option, and then it returns the polyline to a straight line. Snap to the corner, and then I go back to where I started from. Now I have this line. I call it the poodle on the leash. So I have it, and what do I do with it now? Because I want to stop drawing. Now here is where you right click, and then another option window opens, and what I want to do is not finish. If you finish, it's just going to finish the sequence of lines that you are drawing. I want to close the polyline, because then it creates a surface for the polyline that you've been drawing. So then it won't just be a individual polyline running around your specific shape, but it will close that polyline so that it basically creates a layer or a surface that has the shape of the polyline that you've been drawing. Or you could have said finish, but then it won't give you the layer or the surface option that you would like. So I'm going to say close. And that will allow me now to hatch this layer, because if you are familiar with drawings, you will know that we hatch this layer if it is being cut. Now here in South Africa, what we do is that we always hatch our machine drawings at 45 degrees, and I know in most countries of the world that's the same practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the selector tool, or the mouse pointer here at the top left of my icons, and I'm going to select that layer. Now if I click on that line or any one of these lines, this will pop up. It will allow me to either select the individual line that I used on my answers layer, which created my model, individual lines one at a time, or I can select the polyline, which will select in that whole polyline and its surface. So I'm going to select that, and then this window opens, or the selection happens, and then you'll see there's this yellow button in the middle. Now there's various ways that you can hatch, and with TurboCAD and AutoCAD and lots of these late versions of the CAD software, you have plenty of options, plenty of ways to do this, but let's just stick with this one now. You can go here into, let's say it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th option here, which is the brush pattern. Here you have all the hatching patterns that you could use. Okay, that's one way, and then you can just go and select one. Good. And then it will hatch your surface. But now obviously if you're a good draftsman, you will know this is way too intense for hatching. Yes, it is 45 degrees, but it's way too intense. We want to always remember the rule for hatching is that the distance between hatched layers is spread out equally in relation to the surface area of the model that you are cutting and then have to hatch. So if I now go double click on this yellow dot, I can now go and override the properties of the hatching. So this window opens once I've double clicked on the yellow dot, and I can click on pen, and here I can even change the line of my polylines attributes. In other words, I can change to a header line, center line, whatever, but that's not what we want to do. I can change the color of the line if I want to. I don't want to do any of that. I want to go to this brush option here. Now here you can override the brush pattern or the hatching pattern that you want to use. So instead of going to this button at the start, you could have immediately just gone to this window and selected your brush pattern here. But now what you will see is here are on your right hand side the color that says by pen, that is according to the color that you've set up when you created your layer. But here on the scale is what I want to go to. I want to change that now to 20 and see how that is going to stretch out my hatching across the surface area that I've been hatched in. Here you can also change the angle at which you want to do your hatching. For example, if you were to do isometric hatching, now the two prominent hatching angles that we use in isometric drawings is either 60 or 75 degrees for isometric drawings, which is for me preferable to always just use 60 degrees, but obviously there are instances where you would like to use a 75 angle for your isometric hatching. But now in front of us we have a 2D drawing, therefore the hatching must be at 45 degrees. So I'm going to leave that as a default, as it is given. I'm going to leave my hatching as it's here. All I wanted to change was the scale of the hatching, that is to spread out the distance between the 45 degree lines of my hatching, and this is the result that I get. But now it is spread out way too much, so I want to have a little bit more of those 45 degree lines, and I'm going to double click on that hatching layer once again, and then I'm going to change the scale now to 15, and I'm going to click on OK and see what my result is. Yes, that looks much better. So I'm going to go and click on the zoom extents to see the overall image, and I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to take off the grid, and there I have my result. Now if you want to now deactivate certain layers, you see there are no option to do that now here at the top. You first have to be to select one of these options on the left, and that will then allow you to manipulate all the features of your drawing. So therefore, if you want to now take off the hatching layer, you can just click on this eye here and it will hide it. If you want to show it, just click on it again. If you want to go and just hide the answers layer, which you anyways can't see, you would have just clicked on the eye. If I click on the hatching now, everything is gone except that arc that I have there, which I don't know why I left it there, but I'm going to delete that as well. But that's also a good thing to see whether or not there are clutter on your paper or on your canvas that you don't want. So I'm going to deselect those eyes, select this pointer tool, select that arc, and press delete on my keyboard. Now at least I've gotten rid of the stuff that is not supposed to be there on my drawing space. Going back to the icon, and then I'm going to view my drawing there. Okay, now you see that in fact I have actually deleted the arc that was there, and the problem here was that I never selected the answers layer when I drew the arc. So all that I can do now is select undo, and it will bring back that arc of mine. Now how do I get this arc now onto the answers layer? So all that I do is I select it with my mouse pointer or my selector tool, and you see it is on 0. That was why it appeared on my drawing space when I hit the answers layer. So now with that active, I can just click on the layers option, click on that drop down and select the answer, and now it has allocated this arc of mine to the answers layer. So now if I go and view the answers layer or hide it, you will see it is all part of the one layer. And that is how you will create a separate layer, how you would do a polyline around a curve, and as a bonus you can see how to now change a property of a line and add it to another layer. I hope this video was informative. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and happy learning, and enjoy this wonderful subject of technical drawings or design engineering wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much.